The Garmin Fenix 7 has just been released and it's here to replace the Fenix 6 that was brought out way back in July 2020. The Fenix 6 has been my favourite smartwatch until today basically, because the 7 does pack some really nice new features, and we're going to cover everything that you need to know about the new Fenix 7 today. Let's start with a rapid unboxing. We don't want to spend too much time on the box because, let's face it, we're here to see the features of the watch, not the box. Anyway, it comes with your absolute classic Garmin box. There it is, the new Fenix 7. I mean, we'll obviously have a look at that in a second. We've got the same USB charger, which is really nice to see. So if you're already invested in Garmin watches, or your friends are, it's really easy to charge up with the chargers you've already got. So nice to see that nothing changed there. We've got those classic little thick, dense, multi-language information booklets that, let's face it, we're probably not going to look at, but nice to have them anyway. Before we dive into all the features, it's worth mentioning that the Fenix range comes as what we're used to. So it comes with the Fenix 7S, which is a slightly smaller one with a smaller battery life, smaller screen. And then it comes with the 7, which is the one that we're going to be focusing on today, which is the mid-range one. And then it comes with the 7X, which is the top end one. A few more features, bigger screen, biggest battery life, the best flagship watch that Garmin do basically. So the first new feature, and it's definitely my favorite, is the new power screen. Now this was introduced to the Fenix 6, so it's nothing particularly new, but it's definitely enhanced and better. And it's basically a photovoltaic screen. In other words, it's a solar panel that charges from the sun. So whenever the watch face is in direct sunlight, it's actually going to start charging the watch. And it's a great feature, and it's one of the reasons that I love the Fenix 6 so much. But now in the 7, it's actually 3 times more efficient at harvesting energy from the sun into the watch as batteries. There's different areas of the screen which harvest the sun's light in different percentages. So if you actually look closely at the screen and reflect it in the light, you can see there's an outer rim which has almost a bit more shine to it. And that harvests much more of the sun's light. So all the sun's light that hits it, that's going to be harvesting 100% of that energy into battery in the watch. And then you've got the digital screen area, which is obviously much bigger, but this harvests less energy as it is obviously working as a digital screen as well. So that harvests at a lower rate, but it's obviously a bigger area, so it's very beneficial to have that as well. So this graph shows the battery lives of the Fenix models in the new range. And you can see the orange column on the right-hand side of each watch shows how much longer the battery is going to last, with 3 hours of sunlight on the watch screen every day. So some of you might have even more than that, some of you might have less, but that just shows on average how much extra battery life you can get from having that power screen. So you can see that it is really beneficial to have that. And if you're a really outdoorsy person and spend a lot of time outdoors, those figures could be even better. There's a nice little widget feature that shows how much energy you're harvesting from the sun. I don't know why I keep using this as the sun, it's just a light, but you get the idea. But anyway, we'll have a look at that little feature a little bit later on. So you'll remember with the Fenix 6, you had to choose between either having the Power Glass tech, which is the solar charging tech we just spoke about, or having a sapphire screen. If you don't know what a sapphire screen is, it's basically the ultimate piece of glass you can have to protect your digital display. It's basically just going to be the ultimate scratch-proof protection. And you may have guessed it already, but in the new range, it comes as standard. So there's no trade-off between choosing which one you want. You get the best of both. So a really nice feature there. So having a touch screen on sports smartwatches has always been a bit of a touchy subject, shall we say. So a lot of us prefer buttons because they're easier to use with gloves on, whether it be because it's cold and you're in a winter activity or you're riding a mountain bike, it's going to be easier to use buttons. It's also easier to use buttons when running around because it's hard to use a touchscreen when you're trying to run around. I think you get the idea. Buttons tend to be easier for sports, but you probably guessed it as well that the new Fenix 7 range has touchscreen included as well. Almost annoyingly, it's actually pretty good. So it's really responsive, it works really well, and it doesn't react with water in the shower. I've tested this out, it's not going to start an activity or do anything dodgy. It's pretty good, even though I didn't really use it at all. But on the other side of that, if you're a bit like me and you're probably never really going to use it, it doesn't really matter if you leave it on or off, but you can go into this top left-hand menu up here and you can turn the touch function on or off. So it's a new feature added, and it's nice to have it even if you're not going to use it. Oh my God, I've just found an absolutely incredible feature of the touch screen. And just whilst we're talking about buttons actually, I'm not sure if this is even a new feature for the 7, but it's new to me. If you double tap this top left-hand button, it gives you a little torch mode. So for the 7S and the normal 7, it's just going to give you the white screen on its brightest. So granted, it's not the brightest torch. You're not going to be able to see meters and meters away, but it's actually pretty useful when it's dark because you can see if you really needed to. And then you can scroll down, you get a little SOS flash mode. You never know, if you're stuck on a mountain somewhere, it could be the tiny thing that saves your life. And I don't even know what this is, but you've got a red mode. So it just gives you a red watch face. I've got no idea what this is for personally. If any of you at home know what that is, then let me know, because I don't. But anyway, more importantly, if you get the 7X, then apparently it has an actual mini LED, which will actually act as a little torch. So you know all the scenarios when the amount of times you get your smartphone out and you're walking around at night, that's something that you won't have to do if you get the 7X. So it's a nice little bonus that you do actually get a proper LED torch on the 7X, but it's only on the 7X. So keep that in mind. So let's have a really quick look at the battery updates. It's really nice to see that you get a solid 18 days in full smartwatch connected heart rate mode. And then with a little solar update, you can get that to 22 days really easily. So it's almost one of those watches that you forget to charge because you never have to do it. But anyway, and then to quickly look at the different battery modes and options, you've got a quick function here. If you hold down the quick menu in the top left, you can scroll down to what you can see, it's called battery saver. So you can turn this on and off. Currently I've got 16 days. And then if I tap the battery saver on, it goes to 46 days. Now, you can change all these settings to what you want to save the battery on. So if I go back to the watch face, hold down the middle button, take me to the detailed menu, scroll down all the way to Power Manager. In here, you've got the battery saver option where you can turn it on and off and you can edit it. And in this edit mode, you can change all the different settings. So you can change what you want to save on battery, basically. So watch face, music, and all these other options that you can customize. So it's always nice to know that if you are running out of juice, you can just put a battery saver mode on it. It's probably going to give you another few days worth of battery that should get you back to a charger. Then if you go back and then scroll down to power modes, you can save custom profiles for different things that you want to do. So it already comes pre-installed with max battery and jacket mode. So jacket mode's basically when you want the watch to function normally, but you're going to be wearing the watch outside a jacket, so it's not going to read your heart rate because it can't read it for a jacket. Pretty simple, but you can make your own custom profile here and basically call it what you want, have all the settings that you want. So it's just really nice that you can customize the watch to get the battery that you need and not waste anything, basically. So nice custom features here. I think they had all of these in the Fenix 6, but it's really nice to see them all, obviously, in the Fenix 7 as well. Moving on to the physical and visual differences of the 7 to the 6, we still have that really nice titanium body, which is obviously a great material to use as it's light and rugged. It still obviously looks very much like the Fenix that we're used to, but we do see some slight differences. So the lugs that used to just be plastic are now covered by that titanium bezel, which is really nice. So you get a little bit more extra protection on those touch points that, let's be honest, if you're going to be using this outdoors, are going to get scuffed and damaged. So you get that extra bit of titanium protection there, but also what this allows is that the little screws where the titanium bezel was are now on those lugs. So you get a slightly cleaner looking face, which I really like. As much as I like having a nice outdoor looking smartwatch, I don't always want to look like Action Man when I'm wandering around. So cleaning up the watch to look a little bit more tidy is just a bonus in my eyes. And that bezel is just ever so much smaller as we've got that bigger photovoltaic display area in there. So you've got a slightly smaller bezel and slightly more metal on the lugs as well. So a very minor change, but a nice one nonetheless. And the other little change that I've noticed is the fact that you've got this tiny little titanium button protector, I'm going to call it, and it's got these two little walls that protect the start and stop button. Now I can see that would be beneficial for a few ways. One, this button is the one that takes most of the bashing if you're going to wear it on your left wrist, as it's the one on the outside edge. So it's nice to have that extra protection. But also it's the fact that in an activity, the last thing you're going to want is to accidentally start or stop the activity. So you don't want to pause it when you're halfway up Everest. It'd be quite annoying if you lost your data, wouldn't it? So I think this is going to really minimize the chance of pausing your activity. So another really small feature, but just another tiny little touch point that's just a little bit better again. So it comes with the classic strap that you're used to when you get a Fenix. It's the 22mm wide QuickFit strap. These are really good straps because they're never going to come loose in an activity, so you don't have to worry about losing your watch, but they're also unbelievably easy to take off when you pull that little tab there. So The benefit to this is that you can take a strap off if you damage it, or if it gets really dirty, it's super easy to clean. And this might not seem like a massive thing, but some expensive smartwatches come with the strap integrated into the actual watch. So if you damage the strap, then the expensive watch unit is pretty defunct, which is just a silly idea to me. So the fact that you've got nice, easily replaceable straps is a real bonus. And it also means you can customize the look and get new ones. So if you want to go for a specific look, there's loads of different options to choose for. It's also nice to know that the watch has an operating temperature from -20 to 45 degrees Celsius. So I'll be surprised if many of us are going to use a watch in even more extreme conditions than that. So nice to know that it's not going to basically give up on you. And it's got a water resistancy of ATM10, which basically means that you can go down up to depths of 100 meters and the watch is going to work fine still. So nice little facts for you there. The new Fenix 7 range has a new heart rate monitor, and this is going to give you improved accuracy on your heart rate data. And you can just see it's got 6 sensors here as opposed to the 4 that we had. And I've got to say, for a wrist heart rate monitor, it's pretty bang on. It's giving me really consistent data. I'm not getting any dropouts. I've taken this for a run and a ride, and I've looked at the heart rate data and there's no drops at all. And especially when you're using it for ride data metrics, when your arm's moving around on the handlebars and stuff like this, you can get quite a lot of dropouts in heart rate data, but didn't get anything at all. So I can't really tell you how much better it is in the testing that I've done, but it works really well. So I'm assuming it's better. I hope it is. So let's have a look at the watch face and the user interface. So if you're used to having a Garmin, you're going to be unbelievably used to how this watch works, because it works exactly the same as the others. The buttons all do the same thing, but the watch face itself has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 customizable fields where you can have different data on the watch face, as well as the time. Obviously, I didn't count that because you probably can change that, but I assume you want the time on your watch. And what's amazing about all these data fields is the fact you can customize them to do whatever you want. So if you hold down into the watch option, you can go into watch face, and you can see here, you can just scroll through what seems to be almost limitless options. You've got layout designs. So I'll just scroll through some of the watch faces that you can choose from, as there's plenty of them as well. So you can have something that really suits what you visually like. And then when you go into the data field options here, this is where you can choose to customize everything that you want on that home screen, which is just obviously a really nice feature. So you can have your favorite and everything that's most important to you on your watch face. Simple, obvious, but really nicely done. Then if you want to scroll through what Garmin call their glances, which is basically a little highlight view of all the nice data metrics you can see on your watch. So you can either scroll down with your finger or use the buttons, as you've got those 2 options now. It gives you the date and how much battery life you've got left, and then you can scroll down to solar intensity. You can click into these and look at them with more information, so you can see that that's the solar harvesting that I've had today. You can scroll down and see the last weekly average, which is just quite a nice feature to see. And you can do this in all of the widgets. So I can scroll down to the sunset. It's going to give me more data on what the sun's doing today. You can scroll down to your compass. It's going to show you compass information. And scroll down again, you've got your Vo2 Max, a really nice feature that a watch can show you this these days. All you have to do is use the watch for 10 minutes of running, and it's going to give you that new Vo2 Max, which is just a really nice feature to see how you're doing. Then scroll down and you can see your weekly training status. You can see your Vo2 Max change. You can see your 7-day load. And it gives you a nice little recovery status so you don't overtrain yourself. Moving down again, you can see all your latest activities. So you can see this in some really good data. So you can see I did a 5K here, which was a little recovery 5K after my bike ride. You can click into more data, so you can load up the bike ride that I've done. You can see a little map. You can see all the data that you need to, so you can scroll down and see the initial data, which shows you elevation, but you can also click the top right button and look at all stats, which gives you even more data. Then scroll down and it gives you your average steps. Then scroll down to your heart rate data. You can see that as a live graph over the last 4 hours, or as a weekly average, which is nice to see. Garmin's body battery, which if you're used to having a Garmin, you'll have seen this before, but it basically tries to estimate the battery of your body, so what sort of battery you've got yourself. You can see what sort of stress loads have been put onto your body, and that really nicely ties down to the next widget, which is your sleep data. So that ties into your body battery. So the better you've slept, the better your body battery is going to be for the next day, the better the recovery is, blah, 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 you get the idea. But it's always quite interesting to look at your sleep data. So you can click into this little mini widget. It gives you just a general rating in one word. So apparently I had good sleep last night. It's given me a score of 83. Apparently I've had 6 hours and 15 minutes of good sleep, which restored me pretty well, and it's given me a score of 83. In this little graph, it breaks down your sleep into different sections. So you've got awake, light, resting eye movement, and deep. And then it gives you a little highlight. My sleep was too short, but it was pretty good anyway, so I'll take that. Like the old Fenix, the heart rate monitor is capable of taking pulse ox readings, which is really nice to see. And then at the bottom, you've got your classic music controls. It's also worth noting that all the data you can see on your watch face, you can see on the Garmin Connect app or on the website. So if you want to see all this data on a bigger screen, it's really easy to do that as well. So if you're buying a Fenix 7, you're going to want to be recording quite a few sport profiles, I'd imagine. So to get into the recording mode, you tap the top right hand button. Then I'll quickly run through all the profiles that it's got. So it's got all these running profiles, virtual running, hiking and climbing, bike profiles, indoor pool swimming and open water swimming, tri, swim run, various strength things, winter sports, paddle boarding, ocean sports, golf, walking. We'll have a look at the golf thing a little bit later on as well. Cardio, yoga, and breath work. Scroll down, you've got a few more options. You've got navigate, which is general navigation. You've got expedition mode for those big multi-day expeditions. You've got a track me mode and map mode, which is really nice just to click into, and you can just see your general surroundings. Oh my God, I've just found an absolutely incredible feature of the touch screen, which does make it really useful. It's the fact that when you're in a map, it's so much easier to scroll around where you are. So you can literally scroll around your local surroundings, which is so much easier than using the buttons. So I completely take back the fact that the touch screen is a fairly useless feature, because it's so much better for using maps. I can't even tell you. Using maps with buttons is hideous. Okay, whatever you do, leave the touch on because it's a good feature. I take that back. I suppose whilst we're on the subject of mapping and GPS, it comes with improved GPS data in here. So now it's capable of receiving dual band GNSS GPS data, which essentially is just going to give you better data. So another feature improvement over the Fenix 6. So a nice touch there. As well as having normal maps, you can download a few special maps on here as well. So you can download ski resorts, which can be really handy. So instead of finding out where you are on a ski map, it is automatically going to tell you where you're on the ski map, which is really handy, especially if it's late in the day and you need to get the last lift back to the chalet. This could be a bit of a lifesaver. And then the other end of the spectrum, away from the mountains and the snow, is the fact that you can download golf courses on here. It might not seem so necessary, but for those of you wanting to know the distance from where you are to the green, it's going to tell you that data. So it is actually quite a nice feature, almost a little hack for the golfers out there. So could be a nice little feature if you're an avid golfer. And one last final feature, which I've always liked with Garmin watches, is the fact that if you hold down this top left hand quick menu, you can scroll down to save location, and that's just gonna very obviously save the location of where you're at. So it might seem really obvious, but it can be really beneficial. So let's say you're on a mountain bike trail in the middle of nowhere, you don't really know where it is, but you can just save that location so you know where to find it. It could be a coffee stop, it could be where you meet your friends for a ride. It could be any GPS location you want to save. You can just quick save it and it's just going to save it for you. So you're never going to forget those little lost locations that can be hard to find. So a nice little feature there. If you're a runner, a cyclist, a triathlete, basically any sport that you want to pair any extra sensors, that is fully capable with the Fenix 7 like it was with the Fenix 6. So you can easily connect it to a heart rate monitor. You can connect it to bike sensors like cadence and speed. So it's just a bonus to know that you can record and see those extra data metrics on the screen live during your activity, if that's the sort of thing that you want to be doing. Completely capable with the Fenix 7. Like with all top-end Garmin watches, you're still able to use Garmin Pay. If you don't know what that is, it's a really simple functionality where you can pay wirelessly through a connected debit or credit card to your watch. So it can be a real lifesaver feature for when you need it, and also just one less reason to take your phone out with you. And if you do have your phone on you, you can basically have every notification that pops up from your phone onto your watch. Now I know this is going to be a love-hate sort of topic. Some of you want to get away from phone notifications, and the idea of having them pop up on your wrist could be a hellish idea, but basically it's completely optional. You can change which settings you want to notify you. You can have them all on, you can have them all off. It's up to you. So a bonus if you want that, a bonus if you don't. Bonus if you don't, maybe not a bonus if you don't, but either way, a bonus if you do. So now lastly, for those weight weenies of you, we're gonna get the old kitchen scales out and we're gonna weigh the Fenix 7 and see how much this model comes out at. So this comes out at about 73 grams. So not gonna be the heaviest thing to weigh you down. If I had to explain how it feels like a really nice, good quality watch. I mean, it's a fairly terrible explanation, isn't it? But it's got a really nice quality weight to it. But again, I don't think you're gonna really notice it on your wrist there. But either way, now you know how much this thing weighs. For those of you wondering how it looks on a wrist, this is how it looks on my very average sized male wrists. I'd say this is a really good size. Like, it doesn't look overly big, but it doesn't look overly small either. I think if you've got smaller wrists, the 7S might just be a better choice, just because it's slightly smaller in size, but that's a completely personal choice. But either way, that's how the 7 looks on a fairly average wrist. Hopefully that's mildly helpful to you. So what do you think to the new Fenix 7? I personally think it's a really good improvement over the Fenix 6. We've got some really nice new features, and I'm gonna say it, it's my new favorite smartwatch. I'm struggling to find anything I don't like with it, but I'd really like to hear your opinions. So let me know what you think to the watch in the comments. If you like the video, consider subscribing. As always, thank you very much for watching the video, and I'll see you next time.